You know something? Some of the times, intimacy, which you guys hear me talk about a lot, intimacy is really important. And sometimes intimacy is mistaken for control. A emotionally abusive person or a person who is emotionally manipulative can often try to control you through different forms of manipulation that they masquerade as intimacy. Narcissists are really good at this, but they're not the only ones. So I'm going to do the introduction and I'm going to add some lip gloss. And then we are going to have a discussion about intimacy versus control. I am QueenAusetHeru. And thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Asking Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to anybody and everybody who might like it too. Also, drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you would like to get a reading done, I would love to give you one. Please email me or hit me up on social media and you can make an appointment. Likewise, I would love you to join us on Patreon because I've been doing a new series and I want you to see it. I've been doing vlogs and I want you to see my vlogs about different things that interest me that I don't get to talk about on Asking Aquarius. Let's see. My Amazon wish list is underneath this video. This beautiful crown came from someone who got it for me from underneath my Amazon wish list. Thank you so much. I don't know who sent it, but thank you. There was no note with it, but I love it so much. All right. So let's get started. I have 1, 2, 3, what's this, 5? I have 5 different ways that some people try to masquerade intimacy with control. And this came with Instagram. I was on Instagram. It came from Instagram. I was on Instagram and there's a page I like. It's called Sit with Sharon. Sit with Sharon drops a lot of jewels. So I often check out at Sit with Sharon and see what she has. So this was a list she had and I was like, yo, this is a good list. So number 1, love bombing or giving high attention and affection temporarily to gain a desired outcome. Love bombing has happened to me a lot, and I think some of you guys may know what I'm talking about. Love bombing comes in the form, it could be attention, affection, but I've seen it as monetary things. When I was growing up, you know, I was just talking about this when I was talking about Scorpios, but I was dating this gentleman when I was in my early 20s, before I stopped dating men, way back in the day. And this particular gentleman started to give me things. Money, jewelry, clothes, just kept giving me stuff, taking me places, buying me sneakers, buying me boots. And of course, I'm sitting there like, okay, I've had this happen many times before, so it was kind of normal to me. But in this case, the love bombing in this form was twofold. Number 1, it was to impress me, because he wanted me to think he was a baller. And number 2, it was because he wanted to get into my home. I already had my own house. So his idea was to love bomb me, and then he can move in my home and control me, you know. But his plan was foiled before he got a chance to, because I kicked him to the curb. So my thing is that sometimes you meet someone and they're giving you things. Now, some people don't accept things from a person when they first meet them. Got you on that. But that still doesn't mean this person might not be giving you all this attention. I remember this one girl was telling me that the guy, she met him the night before. The next day, he cash apped her money for lunch. And she was like, oh, he's so sweet, you know. And he kept on cash apping her money for lunch. And he kept coming by. He texted her every morning, every night. You know the drill, ladies. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, queen. You know, he did all of those kind of things. And all this, she found out in the end that he was a woman beater. She didn't notice at first, and he didn't even seem like it at first to any of us, but this is what the love bombing was about. He was getting her used to him calling and checking in, making sure she was doing whatever he thought she should be doing, giving her all his attention, and the desired outcome was for her to be totally under his control, because he became very abusive very quickly. So this was all planned out. You got to be really careful with this kind of energy. Another time is pushing others' boundaries to test their loyalty or commitment to you. So if somebody's pushing you past your boundaries just to see if you're loyal to them. I remember I was watching a movie one time, and this man, and he had just got with a new wife. The new wife and him had been together for a couple of months. And he basically coerced her, made her have a threesome with him and with another woman. And she did not want to do this, but one of the things he said to her was, if you love me, you'll do it. So sometimes people will say things like that. If you love me, if you're really loyal to me, or they'll just do it to see what you're going to do. So in this kind of a case, it's all about control, because they're not really loving you. They're not really being intimate with you. They're just trying to break down your walls so they can control you. And she said in the book, after she had the threesome, he continued to push past her boundaries, and it was always the same thing. If you loved me, you would do it. Somebody who loves you is not going to push past your boundaries, and they're damn sure not going to say a lame ass TV line like that. Okay? And they're not going to push you past your boundaries. If you tell them no, they might try to ask you some more. They might try to talk you into it, but eventually they're going to leave it alone, But if you're feeling coerced and like you're going to get punished, or they're going to take their love away if you don't do it, then that's a problem. Using guilt to get your way. That's that guilt button. So it could be anything. That I love you thing goes under guilt. Or it could be, look at all the things I've done for you. I have bought you this, taken you here, done this, do this, and you can't do this one little thing for me. How many of you have heard that? Tell me in the comment section. Put your hand up in the comment section if some weirdo has said that to you, okay? And that weirdo could be somebody that you're with or a family member or something like that. But raise your hand if you've ever heard that. Insulting or constantly criticizing others to get them to improve. If your lover or your friend is constantly criticizing and insulting you, that should not be somebody that you're around. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't push you to be your best self, because I think people should encourage it, but they shouldn't be insulting you or criticizing you. And this is something that I go through a lot. I go through this a lot with one of my friends, and it's not the insulting part, it's the criticizing part. He's constantly criticizing every little aspect of the things that I do, and it drives me freaking crazy. And he doesn't do it in a means to, I don't know if it's to control or not. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know what it's about, but it's annoying. It's very annoying. Let me tell you something. People like when you encourage them. They do. They like when you encourage the things that they want to do. But when you're criticizing every aspect about them, that doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good to another person. And some people will stop talking to you. Some people will just get angry. It could cause a lot of problems. So I would say never insult people, definitely. And if you have to criticize somebody, don't do it constantly, and give them criticism on things that they want to improve, not on things that you want them to improve. If they come to you and say, hey, I really need to get my finances in order, and you can help them with that, then you can give them some help, in that area, some constructive criticism in that area. But if you just notice that they need it and they didn't ask you, leave them alone. Leave them alone, because what's going to happen is they're going to feel like you're trying to control them. And in some cases you might be. You might not even realize that you're trying to control people, because some of us that try to control others, we don't do it to harm them. We try to control them to help them, to make their lives better. I had a friend. Now, I used to do this when I was young. The things on this list, I've probably done some of these things straight up. I had a friend when I was younger, a Virgo. And I did the same thing with her, constantly criticizing what she was doing, always telling her, you should do this, you should do that, why would you do this? And what it really boiled down to was she became handicapped over the years. She couldn't do anything without discussing it with me first. And you don't want people to be handicapped, or codependent on you. You want people to make independent choices, even if it's not the right choice. That's how people learn, is by messing up. Praising people for constantly putting up with your harmful behaviors. If you know somebody and they're constantly doing harmful things to you, toxic, abusive, negative things to you, and then praising you for, oh, you deal with this so well. Oh, you just put up with my stuff so well. Constantly doing that, that is them trying to control you, because they want you to get, every time they do something negative or bad, they want you to put up with it. So they're trying to train you. This is emotional abuse and emotional manipulation here on a diabolic, narcissistic level. Okay? They are training you to put up with their shit by praising you every time you do. And you don't even realize it, but psychologically speaking, it's just like Pavlov's dog. Okay? Human beings, we're all animals here, baby. So basically, every time they praise you for putting up with their shit, it encourages you to put up with their shit just a little bit more. And I remember when I was a girl, one of the things that I noticed was that one of my neighbors, she was being abused by her husband. And I don't know to what extent, because he eventually left. But I remember every time there was a big blowout and she would come out disheveled, every time, a day or so later, she had a new gift. She had a new bracelet, a new watch, new earrings, Basically, he was praising her for putting up with his physical abuse, domestic abuse. So he kept giving her things, and that was to reinforce to her that it was worth hanging in there with him and being patient with him. And this is a very common thing that abusers do, by the way. They'll abuse you and then do something, not just they'll praise you, but they might also give you something. You see? And a lot of people who've been abused have told me those two things went hand in hand. So stay woke, people, because all of those behaviors indicate control. So if you or somebody that you love is going through this, what you want to do is you want to talk to a professional immediately, because these kind of things can really mess you up. I'm gonna just be straight up. It can really mess up your life. It can mess up your psychology, leave you with emotional wounding and scarring that it takes you lifetimes to deal with. All right, guys, now that we've done that, we're going to read some positive comments to cleanse our palate, okay? The first one is from Aisha Williams. This one is about the Chris Rock, the time that Chris Rock, Will Smith slapped him on stage. This is about that. I don't think he knew, meaning Chris Rock, knew that Jada had alopecia. Because truth be told, Jada has been rocking a low cut forever, since I was young. And she does not look bad at all. And furthermore, G.I. Jane was beautiful as well. Chris did take that well. Because I saw the moment when he was about to go off. He was like, oh, I would, and cut it off. Because he was listening to the backstage people in his earpiece and went on with the show. Lately, Will has been looking like the unbalanced Libra. He's been doing a lot of crying lately. I doubt it's Jada controlling him and more of his personal issues or mental health. Well, I don't know if Jada controls him or not. That's a narrative that I'm going to be honest with y'all, a lot of men spin that narrative. Do I think that? I don't really know. I don't really know who's controlling who or what's going on in that relationship. But I do know, based on what Will has said himself, that he does have a lot of personal issues. He talked about watching his father punch his mother in her face. Now, I've seen my mother get into altercations with her lovers too. And as a child, that's the scariest shit in the world. Can you imagine being a little kid and seeing something like that? So I'm pretty sure the things that he saw in his household have left a scar on his spirit. So hopefully Will is somewhere right now healing those scars. I love Will. Will's a Libra. I did not condone him slapping Chris Rock, but I love him anyway, and I just hope that whatever's going on with him, that he is okay. I'll put it like that. Because none of us really know, to be honest with you. We don't know what goes on in these celebrities' lives. We sit around and speculate about it in the shade room like they're our cousins and we can call them up on the phone. But the truth be told, we don't know these people. We don't know the truth. We only know what's publicized. And one thing I learned from watching Scandal back in the day is most of what's publicized is fake. So we don't know any of this. All we know is he slapped him, because we all saw that with our own two eyes. But none of the rest of this do we know anything about. So before you judge somebody's life, remember, especially if you only see them on TV and the internet, remember, it's a lot of things we might not know. Will could be doing God knows what behind closed doors. Who knows? We'll never know. And think about it. Think about your own household. Who knows everything that goes on in your household? I know y'all don't know everything that go on in mine. Well, nothing really go on here, but but still, you know, some things are private. Now, Turtle. Hi, Turtle. Guys, make sure that you're subscribed. I don't know if all you guys are subscribed, but make sure that you are, okay? Turtle said, Queen, once again, you seem to know what I need. I am currently entangled with a Scorpio. This is definitely Scorpio week, right? For 23 years. I did not realize that the relationship was toxic until an Aquarius befriended me and led me to the light. Thank you again for putting out positivity and motivation to learn to love yourself again. I love that. Self-love is one of the most important things that you can, one of the most greatest gifts you can give yourself. I love that so much. But yeah, sometimes you are entangled. A lot of entanglements are toxic, just by the very nature, if you think about it. Because why are you entangled with that person versus being in a relationship with that person? There's a reason. And it could be that you're dodging a bullet is the reason, you know? But that is a very good question. So I'm glad that you found out, and I'm glad that you got out of it. Now, step 2, you said you're getting into self-love. That's what's up. Heal those wounds, baby. All right, guys. It's time for us to get going. That was our last one. So you guys come back soon because I got a lot more to say. I mean a lot. See you later.